protocols observed. I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to the team at Nkata Center for Memories, as well as the Enugu Sports Club for inviting me to speak at this month's edition of the series. There are many. I'm going to speak in Igbo and English because I know that there are people online watching who, and here maybe, who don't understand Igbo yet. But we have to find a way to include them in everything we're doing. This is a very special event for me because this is the very first time I'm speaking in my beloved town, Enugu, since I started my career in languages. I grew up in Enugu. I would also like to acknowledge my parents who have played a huge part in what I'm doing today, as well as my husband, who has put up with my nonsense and my language thing over the years. Enugu Sports Club holds great memories for me as a little child growing up. My father was crazy about tennis a long time ago, and this actually reflected when I was born. He named me Yvonne Chioma Tango. He named me Yvonne because of the first black woman that won the Wimbledon championship, Yvonne Goolagong. So you can see the link up with sports club, playing tennis, and the love he has for the game. During my childhood, we would come here most weekends, parties, and I still have pictures from my childhood when we've come here with friends for parties, and I remember my mom keeps winning prizes here. From a little tricycle I had as a little child to big, huge pots, and also Father Christmas. So this is a very special space for me. But funny enough, when I was a little child, this place looked so huge. But now it doesn't, you know, it's not as intimidating as it used to be. Ndị Igbo si na Udalacha or Wise, when the African star apple blooms, it creates a track, everybody comes to it. So I believe that's what Enugu Sports Club is today, is attracting so many people for so many reasons, from Nkata to the monthly spiritual meetings, to every other thing, to sports, to, it's not just a beer parlor, there's so many things happening. And I'm really glad for this intellectual element they've brought to it. My talk is titled GIDI Ugweze, an Igbo proverb which speaks to the power of collaboration, the power of working together to raise a leader up. In other words, this proverb speaks to the power of GIDI. For people who are not native Igbo speakers, GIDI is the stampede made by a group of people. And Ugu is the respect given to a leader or eze or someone that's the first among equals. So the angle I'm taking this talk to is that without the spirit of collaboration, you cannot create something monumental. No man is an island, and we need the GIDI to raise an Igbo up in whatever we're doing, with whatever skills we've got. I'm going to start today's talk with a traditional Igbo folktale, which on the surface seems like a typical children's story, but like every folktale has very deep and layered meanings. Nkata bụ maka mbe na ụmụ nnụnụ. I'm going to tell the story about the tortoise and birds. Mbe no maka erimeri aga-eme na n'eluigwe. O wee sị ka o soro ụmụ nnụnụ wee jelie ya bụ erimeri. Mana o nwere nku ọ ga-eji feje n'eluigwe. O wee yọọ ụmụ nnụnụ ka ha nyechaa ya ofu ugbene. Fa niile wee wetasịa ugbene na-enye ya. O ji wee nwee nku wee soro fa fego n'eluigwe. Ọ ga-elu n'eluigwe. Ọ sị ka onye ọbụla kwuo afafa ga-aza. Ọ sị ụmụ nnụnụ fa buru ụzọ kpọsịa afafa. Nnụnụ niile kpọsịa afafa ga-aza. Oge o luru mbe sị na afọ ya ga-abụ unu niile. Ọ ga-ebute nri. Asị kedu onye nwe nri a? Asị na unu niile. Iwe wee wee ụmụ anụmanụ maka na mbe wee welu nri niile wee lie. Ụmụ nnụnụ wee welukwa ugbene niile fanyelụ mbe o ji fegote n'eluigwe. Mbe afọrọzi ife ọ ga-eji fetuo na ụwa. O wee zie iche oku ya jee zigwa nwunye tọsala ya ife ọ ga-adakwasị ma o si n'eluigwe daa, ife dị nlọ ga na-ama mmerụ arụ. Mbe wee luo iche oku wee luo wee gwa nwunye mbe ya gbasa ife siri ike, ife na-adụgasị adụ ka mbe daa ka o nwee ife ọ ga-adagide. Mgbe mbe dara, azụ ya wee kulisie maka na ife dị n'anị bụ ife si ike. Now this story is about the tortoise going with birds to the heavens for a feast. So he didn't have wings to fly, so he asked the birds for a feather each, which they gave him. But when they went to the skies, he asked the birds to choose a name. But when they chose the name, but when it came to his own turn, he chose the name all of us. So when the food was brought to them, Mbe asked, whose food is this? And they said, all of you. So he ate all the food, which made the birds angry. And then they took each of the birds took their feather back from Mbe. So to cut a long story short, he asked the parrot to tell his wife to spread something soft, so that when he's falling from the skies, he will fall on something soft. But the parrot told his wife to spread hard things. So when the Mbe fell, he fell onto hard things, and that's how the tortoise has a rough back. Its shell is not smooth. Storytelling, like in Igbo land, like every other community, was a traditionally interactive exercise, with the listeners expected to join in and respond to the person telling the story. Based on the fact that we now live in a modern world, we don't have the traditional spaces of storytelling that we have. Stories are now being consumed on an individual basis. So there's no longer that communal space where people can learn together. So now you have films, books, and video games, which doesn't really give people that communal feeling. Communalism also permeates other activities and events in the life of the Igbo, like in marriage, family, trading, conflict resolution. And within Igbo communities, women were at the heart of everything happening. Women in traditional Igbo society held power through different social institutions. For example, they belonged to two villages, the one which they were born and the one in which they are married. In their natal villages, they were called Umuada, or daughters of the lineage or village. And in the village of their marriage, they were Unyedi, co-wives. Both the Wunyedi and the Umuada performed important functions relating to the preservation of law and order in society. Traditionally, the leader of the Umuada had the duty of providing the final absolution rites for a new bride. In the book, Women in Africa, Kamene Okonjo wrote about a dual-sex political system, in which she talked about how political systems are formed and represented by sex. In some areas, women's groups were organized under a female leader or Omu, and a council who collectively presided over each market and acted as a court in judging cases and disciplining those who broke the law. The cabinet included a policewoman who arrested offenders and brought them before the court. During an interview between 1971 and 1972, the Omu of Obamba was asked about her role in running the town, and she answered, "My child, the Obi is the head of the men, and I, the Omu, is the head of the women. I and my cabinet represent the women in any important town gatherings and deliberations. If decisions arrived at are such that women folk are to be told about them, I get a woman, Onyoga, to sound the gong, Ekwe, to assemble the women. On less important occasions, my cabinet members pass the word around among the women by word of mouth." The Omu added that the market transactions could not begin unless she appeared to declare the market open or sent a cabinet member or messenger there with the medicinal chalk container. I'm talking today about the Omu and other positions women had, because the women form 50% of the population, but they are not as represented, they're not well represented in leadership, in today's leadership. There's a proverb saying that, "Iye akwa ka oburo gi ga-asa. Onye ga-asa ya ka oburo ya ga-eyi." When you wear a cloth as if you're not the one that will wash it, the person that will wash it as if they're not the one that will wear it. So if we take care of our women, we will get the very best out of them. Also, if a man, we're all children once, and we all have mothers, and we know how our mothers took care of the house. We know where that the father has its own roles and the mother has her own role. So I'm not saying that the men are not important, but I'm just saying that everybody needs to come together to bring the skills they have to the table. Because it's like having an engine that has two propellers. Sometimes the engine in one propeller has more use than the other propeller, and sometimes you need both to make the aircraft fly well. So there are some situations where women have something valuable to bring to the table, and then men have something to bring to the table. Again, in their role as nurturers and educators, women were actually central to the development and socialization of young people, and they were also they were custodians of our language and our culture. We need to start a push to stop demonizing our culture. Our forefathers were not idiots. We have to destigmatize our body of knowledge to stop demonizing our language and culture. Less than half of Igbo living in Igbo land are not fluent in Igbo language because of the way we look at languages. They cannot write Igbo language accurately. Because to be fluent in Igbo language, in any language, you need to be able to speak that language, listen, write, and also read that language flawlessly. There's a problem that I have experienced in my family because my daughter understands Igbo, but when she comes to Igbo land to try to speak it, she gets laughed at. Now, this language shaming affects people who are trying to learn the language, and we need to stop it so that we can bring them together and encourage them to learn about their heritage and help them get fluent in Igbo. And if half of Igbo people cannot write Igbo fluently, we cannot claim to be fluent. So, we all have to become fluent in Igbo, them with speaking and us with learning to write. In order for a language to thrive, there needs to be adequate learning materials. The Igbo language materials are available right now in the market are very limited, and most of the languages in the market are not designed for those who are learning Igbo as a second language. We need to create more materials, no matter how basic. Anybody can do this. The more a language learner is exposed to language in different contexts, the more fluent they become. This also includes Nollywood movies, because there's a severe lack of Nollywood movies that are family friendly. And all of us here might know some film directors who can create family friendly movies so that children can watch them and also learn how to speak Igbo. It is a global world, and there are so many millions of people of Igbo descent around the world who want to reconnect with Igbo land, the land of their ancestors, but they don't know how to. Programs and initiatives like Nkata and the Igbo Conference do this. Yet, you can see some people complaining that these programs are run in English. Yes, they are run in English because there's a whole world of people out there who want to be engaged with their heritage, but there are elements of Igbo language interwoven. And English, in these cases, are used to as a bridge to connect those who are Igbo at heart and want to learn more. Oh, Nkata fans, so ejizi amayo kuzibe Igbo. Na oburo na eji oyibo around program nda aburo na di elitist. No ka akpoko eji nwa okpokota fa. Ụfọdụ nwezi ike bido nke a na-asụsụ nsọ Igbo ya. Anonya bụ gidigidi bụ Ugwueza. Anyị na-enyekwa mamịrị ọnụ ọgba ofufu. Onye bịa nke mee nke ya n'Igbo, onye ọzọ bịa mee n'Oyibo, onye ọzọ bịakwa onye ọbụla na-eme, onye ọbụla nwere onyinye Chukwu nyere ya. Anyị tikọọ ya ọnụ, anyị akpọbata ndị mmadụ ọfụma ka fa sụọ bido sụba asụsụ anyị. Ọ bụ egwu amarọ ka ukwu ya si ayọgharị. Loosely translated, it means that sometimes we do not see greatness in us, but others do. Ndị Igbo are industrious, hardworking, creative, and strive to be the best in whatever field of endeavor they find themselves in. Ndị Igbo na-agba mbọ. Yes, we are marginalized. Yes, there are things that are not working, but we can recreate together. We can recreate Igbo to be a heaven of sorts if we put our minds to. But before we do this, there's another Igbo proverb I'm sure that everybody knows. So we need to go back and find out where the rain started beating us. And to do this, we need to find out about our past, our present, before we can determine our future. In his book titled Igbo People, Their Origin and Culture Area, Professor John Anelechukwu wrote about his father, telling him this: Ana-amụkwa Igbo, ana-amụ Igbo, ka mmụta zuo oke. As one is learning European or foreign history, languages, education, customs, and cultures, one must also be learning Igbo history, language, education, customs, traditions, and cultures, so as to achieve complete education, full knowledge, and wisdom. Our languages are at the heart of our cultures, our traditions, our prayers. We cannot expect our customs and traditions to stay alive if the bridge, our language, is broken. Language and culture are intertwined. And I'll give you a pure example of this. Kola nut can only be broken in Igbo language. Makasina Ojana no Igbo. And we all know that our language is declining. Our children are not speaking Igbo. So if our children cannot speak Igbo, that means that breaking kola nut is going to be a huge challenge in a few years' time. So each day that we do not individually and collectively make an effort, our languages and cultures gradually disappear. Culture is transmitted through stories, through language, using stories, proverbs, and songs. Proverbs, as we all know, represent the wisdom of a people and are essentially complex stories and situations condensed in a few words, which gives an insight into the belief system of that culture. A lot of our people do not know our history and our cultures, and we are suffering because of it. Most of this is because of the colonial influence. The people that brought, when the white man came, the people that brought Christianity, the same people that have taken the things they termed as devilish, they took all our things, our artifacts, our deities, and took them back to their countries. If those things are devilish, why would they take them back to their countries? These are things we need to ask ourselves. Last month, I was in the University of Cambridge, and I was looking at some artifacts that have been taken back. And even though I've read about Ikenga, that was my first time of seeing an Ikenga face to face. And the fact that they are taking money from people to go and view the Ikenga and other artifacts, it filled me with a sense of rage. Not just because they are doing it, but because we don't have such things in Igbo to teach our children and adults as well, how our people used to live and how their thought processes worked. Preserving our culture and heritage is at the heart of what we do at the annual Igbo conference in London, of which I will speak about a bit more later. Between 1909 and 1915, a colonial anthropologist, Northcote Whitridge Thomas, came to southern Nigeria and Sierra Leone and collected a remarkable ethnographic archive, which includes objects, photographs, sound recordings, botanical specimens, published works, and field notes. A huge number of these samples and artifacts were collected in Igbo land. A project which has to do with re-engaging with colonial archives is going on right now to connect these archives and samples to the people and places where Northcote Thomas worked at. This project is being led by Professor Paul Basu at SOAS University of London, and it involves a growing number of partnerships in the UK, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and beyond. These include the many institutions across which this ethnographic archive has been dispersed, including the University of Cambridge, Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology, the British Library Sound Archive, the Pitt Rivers Museum at Oxford University, the Royal Anthropological Institute, the Royal Botanical Gardens, Kew, and the UK National Archives. I have been very privileged to see some of these artifacts, and I am also privileged to be part of the team working on the Igbo recordings created by Northcote Thomas. In some of these audio recordings, I have been able to see how Igbo people lived about 107 years ago. Through these hundreds of sound recordings, I have also been privileged to hear them speak, hear them sing and perform, as well as to get a clear sense of what life was like in Igbo land over 107 years ago. Although Northcote Thomas and other colonial staff collected these materials for their own purposes, we now have a chance to guide us on how our ancestors lived and to use these materials for our own purposes. Because our culture of keeping records and preserving history was primarily oral, and many of us do not yet appreciate the importance of such things. We need to learn about our cultures, and we need to find and preserve our cultures so that we can make informed decisions about our present and future. The Nkata Umibe slogan again is Maka Unya Ta Nechi. And this sums up the importance of the work we do at the Igbo Studies Initiative and the Center of Memories as well. To understand today and to plan for tomorrow, we need to delve further into yesterday. My father's name is Tabo, Makana Tabo Kwanubo. Today is still early. Onyamu na maibe yefuna, alademma, kwa bata onye obuna ofuma. Kudochia ni ime ndu anyị niile. Chukwu okike abịa ma chebe duba anyị. Ekwuchakwa nke ọra n'ọnụ.